"16 questions and 16 answers." Where is the edge of the Earth? Who said that the edge of the Earth exists? Where does this statement come from? Maybe because we are always shown pictures like this when we touch on the topic of flat Earth. The most widespread theory of flat Earth states that Antarctica is not a continent, but it is an ice ring that surrounds the place we inhabit and that holds ocean waters. Let's look at the GLISM map from 1892 together. In the title, it's written that the map is theoretically and practically correct. Here we see the Antarctic ring. GLISM map is an azimuth projection that is in principle correct. This view of the Earth can be traced back 1,000 years and deep into centuries. This azimuth map is an official map of United States Geological Survey, founded in 1879, and an official UN logo, plus some other organizations that appear to be global. We need to take this into account since some people think that an azimuth projection map is a variation of the globe placed on a flat surface, when in fact it is the opposite. It is the creators of the globe who converted this map into a ball. Going back to the question of the edge of the Earth, we should say that there is no proof that the Earth actually ends behind the ice ring. It's the opposite. Flat Earth proponents think that there are other continents behind the ice ring, and it's also possible that the Earth has no end at all, but that it's endless in its flatness. Anyway, what is behind the ice barrier is being hidden from humanity. Richard Byrd, who appeared to be an army sailor but specialized in expeditions that expanded geographical horizons, in an interview in 1954 said, "It's strange, but right now on Earth we have an area the size of the United States that yet has to be explored by human beings." If we look from Latin America towards South Pole, there is a huge piece of land that has not been discovered and studied by humanity yet. I find this quite strange. And really, on an old Buddhist map discovered early 20th century, printed in a newspaper in 1907, we can see that it's not limited by continents that we know from school, but opens up a big number of unknown lands. This indirectly confirms that behind the ice barrier, Earth doesn't end, and that there are many, many other lands. If the Earth is flat, where does the Sun go? Actually, Sun doesn't rise and set, but spins clockwise from east to west. If we add atmospheric data, then we see that atmospheric lensing creates an illusion of the sky objects rising and setting. With this simple example, we see that using a lens, the light bulb is sort of going over the horizon when it gets away from us in a straight line. It even lights up the clouds from below, the same way as we see it in nature. What's on the other side of the Earth disk? It's obvious that there is no precise answer to this question. No one yet reached the edge of the Earth, but all religious writings see Earth as immobile, firm, and solid. In Abrahamic religions, Earth is surrounded by water and stands on 4 pillars stable. We can confirm this by our everyday experience, feelings, and observations. Objects that are spinning above us, they are really spinning, and it is not an illusion. The deepest well that we could dig is only 12 kilometers down. Scientists state that inside the Earth there is melted magma with a metal core in the center. But this is only a fantasy of scientists that is not confirmed by anything. Why the ships move below horizon when moving away from us? There are several reasons for this. First, it is a law of perspective. When objects move away from us, they become smaller. Sometimes we think they go over the horizon. But if we use optics, then we can return the ship back into our field of view. So we clearly understand that it didn't go over the horizon. Reason number 2 is linked to the atmosphere. The further the ship, the more vapor, dust, water there is in the atmosphere. So the lower, heavier parts of the atmosphere gradually start to hide the object from the bottom up. It leads to an effect of sinking below horizon. In the following example, we see that even with a small area of water, we totally lose the ship out of our line of sight, and it seems like it totally goes over the horizon. Actually, it's the atmosphere that covers it, since it's more dense and rich in vapor closer to the surface. It doesn't let us see very far. Air, if we can say so, is really thin water. It has dust, fumes, spores, pollen, and so on. You can't see very far through muddy waters. Plus, human eyesight is made in such a way that we completely lose an object 2 meters tall out of sight from 5 kilometers. It goes beyond our vanishing point, defined by our pupils. Here's an example. Felix Baumgartner jumped from an air balloon from higher than 30 kilometers. If we watch him closely, then we'll see that he went out of sight. But you do understand that he didn't go over the horizon. If we use optics, then we'll see him still. Besides, we'll be able to see him all the way to Earth. Air density is lower up there, but at the distance it's almost the same as if he was going horizontal. This is why the ships don't go over the horizon, meaning going below the Earth, but just go beyond our vanishing point in the perspective, being hidden by thickness of the atmosphere with its distortions, refractions, and reflection. What about pictures of Earth from space? These are clearly pictures made with a computer. This picture, said to be taken by the Apollo 17 in 1972, is being presented as real. They also say that this picture was taken by a Peak satellite in 2015. Robert Simon, an employee of NASA, in an interview in 2002, described how he created the so-called blue marble, an image of Earth as if taken from space. This is how they call him now, Mr. Blue Marble. So, this picture was compiled from many pictures taken from low orbit. They were put together, and in 2002, this man created the Earth globe that's called Blue Marble. This can be done on a highly professional level with Photoshop today. Water, continents, clouds, sun reflection are put on the map layer by layer. In the end, we have a final look that's usually imagined by the man in the street. But this is exactly thanks to Photoshop and the science propaganda that a common man's perception of the world is just like this. But real pictures of the Earth, after 60 years of cosmonautics, still did not appear. Why are all other planets around? If we look at the pictures of amateur astronomers and compare them to shots by NASA, we can instantly see that they were made with computers the same way that the pictures of the Earth. The fact that they're round is impossible to deny. Maybe they're even spherical. But what relationship do they have with Earth? They are in a different environment, in a different system, and have no connection to Earth whatsoever. But they are not just by themselves. Their purpose is totally different. Their cycles and the unique set of combinations are sort of markers of time, and this is actively used in astrology. Thus, the form of celestial bodies that we call planets does not define the form of the Earth. Analogies are not suitable here. There are many spherical objects on the billiards table, but the surface itself is flat. Does the space exist at all? Yes and no. We cannot deny that there are different objects above us. We see them, but the Big Bang Theory is not supported by all of the scientists today. Since we figured out that we owe sunsets and sunrises to the atmosphere, these objects are spinning like a disk above the Earth, exactly like it's shown in the Buddhist planetarium. And if what we call the space is a liquid or a superliquid medium, then with the sound of a certain frequency, it's possible to create bright objects that we call stars. This effect is called sonoluminescence. How is travel around the Earth possible? It's very easy. If you move to the east or to the west, then you return back to where you came from. The surface is like a clock, and there is a high chance that they were made in the shape of the Earth. It's the simplest way to show real time on a real surface. If a person is going east or west, then their compass will be always pointing north. This is how you travel around the Earth. Remember that the map of flat Earth appeared long before the globe. Let's remember the old Buddhist map. It's more than 1,000 years old, as the scientists say. It's in the Library of Congress in the US. Why is the moon upside down in the southern hemisphere? This is again easy to explain. If you are in the north of the Earth, you can see the moon at this angle. And if you are in the south, you are looking at it from a different angle. You are just looking at it from the opposite side. Imagine that you stick an image of the moon on your ceiling. Whatever side you look from, the moon will appear different. This is easier understood with a crescent moon. If the moon is in the northern hemisphere and it's waxing, then it is pointing up at the equator, turned 90 degrees up. And the further south you go, the more the crescent starts looking like the letter C, like the waning moon, but in the southern hemisphere. Letter C is a waxing moon. What about change of seasons? The sun is really close to us and it is small. When the sun is over the north of the equator, then there is summer in the so-called northern hemisphere. When the sun moves south, it is winter in the northern hemisphere. It is moving in a spiral, moving from the northern to the southern tropic and back. In this model, a change of seasons is comprehensible and natural. And if the sun is 150 million kilometers away, and if it was 1.5 million kilometers in diameter, we would hardly feel a change of temperature the way we feel it on Earth right now. Since angular speed of spinning is constant for the sun, and the full turn takes 24 hours, then moving from northern to southern tropic, its linear speed increases. When it reaches southern tropic, its speed is so high that it cannot warm the so-called southern pole, the same way as the northern pole, when it's in the northern tropic. This is why it's 2 times warmer on the northern pole than it is in the southern. What about gravity? Gravity is required for the spinning ball model. People really believe that you cannot fall from a spinning ball that flies through the imaginary universe at an incredible speed. It is hard to accept the obvious that they are standing on an immobile surface. Gravity is just an excuse for everything that you cannot explain and what has never yet been proven. The real reason the objects fall down is in their density. If something is more dense than the environment, then it falls down. If the object is less dense than the environment, it rises up. Simply put, your phone is more dense than air. This is why it falls when you drop it. Everything works this way. No need to come up with anything. Defenders of Newtonian astronomy consider the law of gravity the greatest discovery of science and the basis of all modern astronomy. But if we can show how the objects less dense than the environment go away from the Earth and up, then we realize that gravity is a pure assumption. It doesn't exist outside of the minds of its proponents and defenders. When we realize this, then all the so-called science, with its gravity, will crumble down to flat Earth as a house of cards. And then, this foundation becomes the most ridiculous superstition and the biggest lie at the same time. What about the Coriolis effect? They say that the Coriolis effect is the result of Earth turning on its axis that is best seen with the cyclones. In the northern hemisphere, cyclones are spinning right towards the turn, and in the so-called southern hemisphere, to the left. The problem with science is that such things as cyclones and water in the drain are unpredictable, and as we know, they spin in both directions in both hemispheres. One more contradiction shown by the Coriolis effect as false is that it does not affect a single plane. Though some proponents of the globe model state that the bullet that flies at 2,700 km per hour for about 2 kilometers requires correction due to Coriolis effect, but the plane that moves at only 800 km per hour at longer distances doesn't feel this effect in any way. Here, science says that the atmosphere moves with the plane, so this object is not affected. Then why bullets and projectiles that are launched at shorter distance and with higher speed are affected by this? Yes, the military people make a correction, but this correction is called a derivation. Why can't I see endlessly far? I was frequently asked why I can't see Everest from any point on the Earth, or why can't I see America from Europe? Besides dust, mist, rain, fog, smog, clouds, snow, and so on, your vision has limits, and it's limited by the vanishing point of your perception. Look at the weather app on your phone. There you can see current visibility in your area. Is Flat Earth a religious issue? Yes and no. I'm saying this because I'm not religious myself, and I prefer not to believe something, but to just know it. The facts are that movement and curvature of the Earth were never proven. The Bible and other religious writings point to an unmoving Earth without doubt. Many peoples, such as the Babylonians, Egyptians, the Mayans, and the Northerners, supported flat Earth. The story of a round spinning Earth is really something new to humanity. Nevertheless, most of us don't ask this question of the shape of the Earth. We were taught about the globe from our childhood, and those who think that the Earth is flat were always ridiculed. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not, arguments and facts of flat Earth speak for themselves. Is the Flat Earth Society behind the revival of a Flat Earth model? No, Flat Earth Society was created by the system to be at the front of this movement, since it's impossible to beat. Yes, they are telling the truth about certain things, but they are also saying silly things so that later this can be ridiculed, showing all the absurdity of the statement. As an example, Flat Earth Society explains gravity like this. They say that gravity is not a physical force, but that it's an upward acceleration of Earth. If this is not disinformation, I don't even know how to call this. Proponents of Flat Earth existed for a long time. At the end of 2014, Eric Dubay raised this to the new level, and the movement got a second breath. There is no Flat Earth Society in this. Are all of the scientists, pilots, and officials part of this conspiracy? No. Most pilots, scientists, and government officials receive the same education as us. When these people do their jobs, they suppose that the Earth is spherical. If some of these people truly know that the Earth is flat, they will probably not mention this out of fear of spoiling their reputation or losing their job. An average scientist just simply thinks that the Earth is spherical, whatever he does. casting doubt on the model of the spinning ball is a taboo for the existing science. Most of the work of pilots is done by computers, and I do not intend to criticize their work since I deeply appreciate what they do. At the same time, pilots are not bothered by the nature of the Earth in their work. Government officials and politicians who are not top NASA employees and are not part of behind the scenes do not know and consciously do not engage in this mystification. A very small percentage of people is informed of the flat Earth, and a lot of people might not even have an idea that they can be tricked on such a scale. So please show this video to people who are looking for answers to these questions. If a student is ready, there will be a teacher.